I'm here with Scott and Ray Davidson. Hello.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this. I'm super excited. This is the second edition. And tell us a little bit about yourselves to begin with.
I'm Scott. I like, let's see, mint chip ice cream. I
Mint
like
chip.
mint chip,
Yeah.
cookie dough. As far as cereal, I really like cinnamon toast crunch.
Okay.
Favorite color is dark green. I don't like the limey greens or anything like that. Just
Gotcha.
dark.
No, forget those limeys.
Almost a little bit of the brownish tone.
Yeah.
Forest green.
Nice and natural.
Mm-hmm. That's about it for me.
Cool. Cool.
I like when he does the talking. I feel like I always do this. That's nice. Oh.
That's my normal introduction in elders quorum. So.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I hadn't heard it before.
Yeah.
But I'm Ray or Rachel.
Which do you prefer?
I genuinely don't care. People that have known me since high school tend to call me Ray.
You ever get the Ray Ray?
Yes. Matter of fact, I do.
Yeah. I prefer Rachel. I very rarely call her Ray.
Gotcha.
So
Rachel for intensive purposes.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like a lot of things. I like to read and we do movies and games, and I like to just do things with other people. I don't like to do much by myself.
Cool. So easy to please, happy to be there and just participate and experience.
Yep. Just want to be around the people.
That's a really good attitude to have. Great. Do you find yourself bringing people up when you enter a room?
I hope so.
Do you impact that?
I find people...
I'm always happy
there. There you go. I find what people like. I don't try to be fake, but I don't know. Some people like the quiet, reserved conversation, and I can do that. And some people like the silly, ridiculous, loud games over the top, and I'm there for that too. So
what? So you are a black belt in removing contention from a place. Right. It sounds like you just bring the fun.
I'm a
no matter
social
what.
ninja.
There you go. Social ninja. I like it. I like it. So how did you guys meet?
An institute dance.
There was a creepy guy hanging around. He kept going between my group and another group and Rachel, who was waiting for her friends to show up that didn't show up in the building.
They met in the parking lot and never went in.
And so he kept he didn't know personal boundaries, and so he'd get really close up and talk to people. And it was really freaking the girls out. And so I would be kind of the buffer. And when he would start getting up close to someone, I'd hop in between, try to steer him away or pull the girl away or something.
In a playful way.
In a playful way.
Not in a stay away, bro.
Yeah.
He was good about it. And then I needed a ride home because I never met up with my friends. And he ended up saying, sure, I can give you a ride for 8 digits. And I kind of stood there for a minute going, what 8 digits? Because a phone number is 7. But yeah, that took me a little bit longer than it probably should have. And then he starts to do the whole embarrassed face. And I'm like, so do I have a ride? Oh, phone number. Oh, gotcha. So yeah,
Slick.
Master of pickup lines.
There you go. I like it.
Them up.
Super clever.
Awesome. So you talk about movies. What other stuff do you guys like to do for fun?
I like puzzles. She doesn't like them as much.
I will do them if that's what's happening.
Most Sundays, well, I've been trying to do it more and more, is I'll try to get the kids off the screens a little bit, and I'll just pull out a puzzle and start working on it. And, I have 2 of them that typically come over and start working on puzzles with me. And the other 2 are pretty sucked into their game. And so it's hard to pull them away unless I limit their time. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. So like I said, I like to read. I love watching movies and stuff. But when we are like, let's go out and do something, I like to do like miniature golf and bowling, things that are like you can be
Sweet.
competitive, but
Huh?
I don't do anything competitively. Like that's I love playing games. I'm perfectly fine losing.
Yeah.
Not super great if you're cheating, but like if I'm losing, I'm like, well, that's
It's
just how
fun.
that goes. Like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah,
I'm not really competitive. I put on a fake face and have a little fun with it, but
Yeah.
like we were playing a game last night, and you throw out some trash talk here and
There you go.
but
Yeah. Mix it up.
I have there's no tension there.
I
Yeah.
don't. It took me half the game to figure it out. I was just like, I don't know what just happened.
He's just being abusive today. It's fine.
People are just counting up my points for me. I'm like, I believe you.
Cool. Cool. I think a lot of people will relate to that feeling.
I like working around the house. We did an addition that we're in now. We had a contractor come in and build basically the shell, and then I went through and did low voltage, all of the Ethernet and things that don't need to be licensed.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
from the insulation in
Uh-huh.
and the painting and roof of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Wait.
I picked stuff
As
out.
Davidson's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She picks it out, I make it happen, and
There you go.
it's pretty fun.
Actually, I pick something out. He chooses the thing that's similar for half the price,
Yeah.
and then
Cool. That's a
he
good
installs
balance.
it.
That's a good balance.
That's the way
Usually
that
with a
goes.
little bit of help from YouTube.
There you go.
YouTube's my best friend.
Absolutely. YouTube University.
Yeah.
That's where people learn things nowadays.
It is.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's. I don't know that he would say it, but he's super helpful. Like when people are like working on a roof or whatever, and he's like, "How do I help? Let me just go over there and see what
Yeah.
needs to do or whatever." And I'm happy to go. I don't know how helpful I will be,
Uh-huh.
but if you've got kids running around, I'll go run around with you or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know that I would actually reach out and go help the neighbors with the project, but because he does, I'm like, well, I want to go,
Yeah.
So his service ends up getting me out there serving
That's great.
sometimes.
That's a great attitude to have. What is your guys' conversion story?
I don't know if I really have like a singular moment where I'm like, yep, it's true. But maybe I'll let you go first, actually, on this one.
So I was.
Because mine plays off of yours.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in the church, and my parents were good with it, but they so we grew up in the Ozarks,
Okay.
and we kind of just had an understanding. Like I don't know that anyone ever told me this, but I just gleaned from watching the grown-ups that we didn't deny our faith, but we also didn't proclaim it.
Okay.
If people asked us, do you have a church? Yeah, we go to the church up on the hill. Our church building was an LDS building, but that was when you could like get it in sections. And so we had a couple sections of a building that was owned by, I think, a Methodist, another denomination. They owned the whole property, and they allowed us to rent out a space wherein we built our little church. And so we would say, oh yeah, the church over on the hill, whatever. And most people might assume that it was the church that owned the place, or they'd say, oh, do you go to church? And we're Christians, and we would kind of leave it at Christians, unless they specifically asked, like, oh, what church do you go to, or whatever, and then we would not deny it, but we were kind of quiet about it, and
Joplin and Carthage doesn't have the best reputation for being welcoming for
right,
LDS types.
it was a little bit lonely sometimes. And we were small. I think we were just a branch for most of the time that I lived there, maybe all the time that I lived there, that incorporated all of towns around
Mhm.
there, and so, and that's just how it is. I mean, that didn't seem anything special. Then when I was like 9, we moved to Utah, Orem, Utah, and let me tell you,
A little
like
different
that was weird.
demographic there, huh?
And so we all kind of had a little bit of not disdain, but like I don't know. We kind of just felt like Utah was full of smuggy buggy like Mormons. You know what I mean? Like we
Okay.
kind of had like,
Okay.
this is why people don't like us, kind of a feeling.
Uh-huh.
And so when we moved to Arizona, everything leveled out. We were fine. I was in high school by then. It was fine, but I had kind of never had that like conviction.
Mhm.
And then when Scott and I got married, I lost a baby, and I had a moment, a literal like moment where I just thought, we're not sealed. This baby wasn't sealed to us. And it like not broke me, but it changed me to where suddenly it mattered. Suddenly I cared. I didn't really, it was one of those like, we might get sealed in the temple someday if we decide that's right for us, you know?
Yeah.
We went to church because I got a calling in the nursery, because of course I did. But I got a calling in the nursery, and I felt like I had to show up because sometimes I was the only one that showed up, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so if it wasn't me, it was no one, and I felt like I needed to do that. But for that, you know, we'd come pulling into the parking lot just in time to get to nursery or whatever. Like it didn't matter until it mattered, and
Yeah.
I just had that almost instantaneous. Like not everything in my life changed,
Uh-huh.
but it changed my life. So
Yeah.
that was the moment for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's incredibly impactful. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
I guess I'm similar. I was born into the church, and so I lived in Utah, Alpine, Utah, and I didn't know anyone my entire growing up years that wasn't LDS. And so it was just always, of course, I'm LDS. What other option is there? And then junior high, I moved to Arizona, to Mesa. I was going to Taylor Junior High, and I just had, a real dose of reality that not everyone believed as I did.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I felt like I was really strong in the church and everything, but I never really had any tests. We were talking about sandpaper today. I never had the sandpaper that helped polish me, that took away, all of my possible doubts and stuff. So, but it wasn't until helping Rachel go through her experience with losing Samuel, that's the name that we decided on, that I just kind of slowly grew more and more closer to the church. I realized, hey, if I follow the teachings of the church, life is getting better. Life is getting easier. Things are happier. I'm not, angry and frustrated all the time like I was. And so it was just, I guess the Lord knows I needed to warm up to it. He couldn't just throw me right into it. So
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have very strong faith at this point, but wasn't always that way, and I can't really say it was this point. It was March 1st. I can't do that.
It was a line upon line process.
Yep.
Yeah.
So ended up not going on a mission. I got married instead. So that was a different kind of mission.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I wonder how it would have been the other way around, but I'm too happy with how things are right now to ever regret anything.
Yeah.
So
It ended up bringing 2 people into the church.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. So as your day-to-day life goes on, what keeps you motivated?
A lot of it, I feel like a lot of it is probably the kids. because when we see something, we maybe see someone stray or someone just not really have the regard that for me, I will see that and I'll be like, I remember that. I remember being there.
Yeah.
It does matter. I don't want you to go through, well, you might go through loss, and I can't always help you. I can't always stop that. But I don't want you to have that like jarring experience because you might not choose. You know what I mean? Like we say that with like drugs. Decide now that you're not going to do drugs. So that when someone is like pushing it on you,
with it. Yeah.
Which no one has ever, but still like, but you decide now. Choose you this day, kind of thing. And so I kind of want to instill that in our kids' lives.
Yeah.
Even if maybe they don't have a strong conviction right now, or I don't know, but like I said, my parents were good. They were good with their faith. They still are. But they have 4 kids, and 2 of them have nothing to do with the church, and 2 of them had to have really hard experiences, and we chose the gospel. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so there's no accounting for how kids will make their choices as they grow up. I understand that. But I want it to be saturated in our life, in our home, so that it isn't for lack of trying. You know what I mean? It's for lack of exposure. If during the hard time they pull away, they know what's here. So for me, that's what a lot of it is. And the concept, like I said, like I always think of that I was living a life that wasn't giving me my eternal family. And it turns out that was more important to me than I had ever realized.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would say kids is a large part of it. So just trying to get scriptures in as much as I can, just so they have the knowledge, so they can. I kind of feel like scriptures is kind of a numbers game. The more you do it, they're not going to fill it every single time.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a time that they read something and it's going to hit them. And so I can either help provide that experience for them, or I can hope that they'll get it on their own.
Yeah.
Between the 2 options, I'm going to help push them in the right direction. I'm going to wait for them to have that moment.
Yeah, I like that thought of just providing as much opportunity as possible for the Spirit to interact. Because not to say that it can't happen on its own and by chance, but you certainly want to do the legwork to begin with. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, what is your favorite missionary experience in your life?
I don't know if I can really point to any one in particular. I mean, besides us and kids, it's always about kids. It always comes back to kids. I don't know. There is Deborah. Deborah and Rich were good while they were around us, and then things fell apart once they left. But
yeah, they were friends of ours that she was in her late 30s and he was in his mid 40s when they got married, and both of them, I think both of them might have been converts, like to the church. And so they became really good friends with us. Like, even though there was like a 25-year gap or 25-year gap or whatever, like we were still really good friends with them. And we were there when they got sealed, and it was great. Like and then they moved away and they kind of
floundered.
Yeah.
Right.
They went to Chicago. Not a lot of support there, and things just kind of
fell into old ways and whatever. And then, well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, mine's not on topic.
Okay. Well, kind of they hit a point that they didn't have any grounding, and Deborah, we would text or whatever, and she just had a point. They had a son, and she was like, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I'm raising him by myself, and and Rich is like, yeah, maybe I'm past that point, because he's in his 50s now, doesn't really want to raise a little kid or whatever, like it was just awful, and they've had to do a lot of work, and we've been kind of auxiliary support maybe, but to watch their story as they had so much and then they let it go, and kind of being able to witness them slowly bring it back together. And do you know what ward you're in? And have you you can get everything online? Do you even do you look into whatever, come follow me or whatever? And it's a slow process, but you can see them kind of coming to a better place. Remember it, picking up what they had let go of.
Wow. Then that's currently taking place?
Yeah. I mean, we're not there, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's texts and Facebook or whatever. But But yeah. I actually thought he was going to bring up his sister. So I was thinking he has a sister that she was actually she had her mission call, and then she ended up getting married instead. And he was not a member, and he didn't want anything to do with the church. And all of their marriage.
He was not a member and was hostile.
He was hostile to religion entirely.
Okay.
But all through their marriage, she would like just little things, just we're at a funeral and it's going to be an LDS person because that's most of what we know, and just little things to introduce. What's that book? The You Are Special type books that are gospel messages, and Eric would read it, and nothing said Church of Jesus Christ on it or whatever. No one said this is God that we're talking about. But he would say, this is such a beautiful message. And, and we're like, great, but, and they ended up getting a divorce, which felt like tragedy. It felt like failure, but immediately, like their oldest kid turned 18. She immediately wanted to get baptized. Melanie, she then wanted to, prepare to go on a mission. And Melanie was like, I want to be there when she goes to the temple. So Melanie did the work so that she could be there with her dad. And again, like we were all those years of like putting those little things kind of under her husband's nose a little bit. Like it was right there. He could see it. He could say, well, where did you get this Deseret book? But he didn't.
Yeah.
But all of those little inspirations that her daughter picked up on, and as soon as she was able, she was like, this is what I want. I want this gospel.
Wow.
And I liked that. I didn't grow up. I was the grown up, but barely. We were barely legal when we got married. And so we watched this progression over 12 years or something of just her not like it wasn't
like a gentle hand.
Yeah, like it wasn't like a formal like missionary discussion, because that was not allowed.
Yeah.
But it was still the whole family, including us, kind of just living the gospel, having it available. We said a family prayer. We didn't necessarily like read the scriptures with them or whatever.
Yeah.
But we would still have that little bit of influence, and we were still good to him even when he was like looking for a fight.
Yeah.
And we would just live with him as
you were
well
the coolers,
as we could,
huh? Yeah.
So, but yeah, to watch Melanie, she's remarried. He is still not a member of the church, but accepts that this is important to her, and to watch that family.
He's a good Christian guy.
He is a good Christian guy.
Yeah.
And to watch that family, the healing, that they all got it the way they want. The other kids have not joined the church. However, to watch Melanie and her daughter be able to thrive in the gospel that they wanted, that they felt like they couldn't have.
Yeah.
Kind of being able to provide a little bit of that spiritual support.
Yeah.
It was, I really have enjoyed that. So
That is very cool. Very
we're
cool.
auxiliary missionaries.
Did she end up going on a mission?
Yeah.
Where did she go?
So it was COVID. So she was
She
supposed
had
to
4
go.
missions.
Yeah, she was supposed to go
Okay.
to, I don't know, Argentina or Chile, somewhere down there. And then she ended up spending like half of her mission in Gilbert.
Okay.
And then went home and was in Wyoming still doing like little service missions or something. And then
She
sent
did
to
make it to Peru.
Oh, she did go to Peru, that's right.
Oh.
Didn't she also go to Florida?
Yeah,
I think she
in
was
Florida
stuck
for a
in
while.
Florida for like several months. So she went all over the place. She got all kinds of missions in. But yeah, she went on a mission, just married a guy from the mission.
Yeah.
So
From Peru.
from Peru. So,
Wow.
you know, it all works out.
Very
So,
cool. That's
yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah, it's fun to
That was this last summer. She married.
yeah.
Very cool.
So maybe not traditional missionary experiences, but also
That totally counts. What a cool way that you found that way to stick with your convictions and to show your love of Jesus Christ through your actions and your messages while not being contentious,
right.
right? The Davidsons are good at that. Deferring on what could be a contentious situation and just loving where you are and being that example and that shown through for your sister and your niece.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's an awesome story. Thank you, guys. What is something you guys find uplifting?
Elevators, airplanes.
come on.
Oh, sorry.
Nailed it.
That's exactly what he was asking.
If I knew how to do editing, I will do a dad joke counter in 3, 2, 1 and put that in there.
Oh, he's your guy for that. He's been restraining this whole time.
Yeah.
Uplifting neighbors, people in the Word.
Yeah.
The Word family that we have is a really good one. Especially, all the introduction of all the new people and stuff into our Word has just been fabulous. I don't know. It's hard for me to look beyond that.
Yep. Yeah, I like how often people that rent in our Word look to own in our Word.
Yeah.
That's
a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was going to say something similar, that I find it like with all these little stories that we're telling, I find people to be uplifting their stories, even if their stories are not always like uplifting in and of themselves.
Yeah.
The resilience of the people around us, or just the love and the charity of the people around us. We have one of our kids that had a really hard time with a bully, like called the police, missing child, hard time with a bully.
Okay.
And it was a big deal. And then she also, it was right when we got a new bishop, and she does love Andy, or Bishop Linton, like she does, but she was so broken hearted about, she like thought they had fired Bishop Dom. She's like, is he leaving the church? Like it was, and so she needed to know that he was going to be okay, and he was going to stay, he was going to keep coming to church. Okay. And I'm like, baby, he's fine, like he's strong, like don't worry about this. But it was a concern for her, and so still, that was years ago now, I think. But still, every Sunday, every time we go for a walk, if he's out in front of his house or whatever, she needs that hug. Every church event,
cool.
she wants to go, and she's so shy that she'll like be scared. She like wants me to like be like, but she really connected with him, and it helped her so much while she was like, school was awful. We were actually considering pulling her out. We didn't know what to do. Like it was bad, and her lifeline for a little bit was church, especially because she felt like she was making sure that someone else was being cared for and knew that he was cared for.
Yeah.
and at the same time he cared for her, like, you know.
How
And so
sweet is
it like
that?
brought things around. But we
Yeah.
have gotten to know that family that we would not, like, we've always known them. They've been here since like way before us, but somehow we had never connected with them. And now, like, we have these new friends that we didn't even see before. I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But and there's a million little stories like that, just little chance encounters with somebody in the ward, working with someone that maybe I would not normally have like picked out to go hang out with, and then I'm like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
that was so great, you know. So that to me, like I said, I like to be around people, and people that are willing to either lift up or just be lifted, like people that
Yeah.
are just willing to let a moment be happy. I'm here for that. It
Yeah.
helps me more than I can explain.
And helping with our kids, we can tell our kids, you know, what will help them in their life all day long. But if someone else, not their parents, says
Yeah.
anything, then it just, oh, maybe my parents know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
it just helps reaffirm that.
They
Yeah.
come home with this revelation. Sister so and so told me about this, and I'm like, great. I'm glad you learned that lesson.
Yep.
And
Thank you, Sister So and So.
I'm grateful to whoever helped you see that.
Gonna start writing out a little script and handing. Can you say
Yeah.
this to my
Right.
kids?
Would you tell, please?
But just the little pushes here and there from people in the ward just really help shape the kids.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at that with other people's kids, but it is kind of hard to know where you can and can't push. So
Yeah. No, that's a really interesting point, and I'm glad you brought it up because I'm seeing that firsthand, right? I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but like the ward I was baptized in was the first ward, and it was the best ward ever. And then we moved into the Centennial ward, and we were like, man, this isn't Gilbert Fourth Ward. This isn't as good.
Right.
And then finally you start to invest in that ward, and it's like, holy cow, Centennial Ward is the best ward ever. This is great. This is amazing. And then you get dissolved, and now you're in Fraser Ward, and you're like, yeah, but this ain't Centennial Ward.
Right.
And then you invest in it and go, holy cow, these people are awesome. This is great. The Fraser Ward rocks. And that's like the natural progression of things, is what you choose to put into it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's everyone's experience.
Yeah, this was the starter home. It was supposed to be, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then there came a point that we would joke at, like, we'd go to an open house and we're like, oh, you know, we're kind of in a love it or list it kind of situation. And I'm like, let's tell the truth though, unless like the whole ward moved and got like all new people, like I'm like, we're not going anywhere. We're not losing this. So obviously we didn't list it, but you know what I mean. But like we would joke about that for years because our house was.
There was a point where our house was 4 times what we paid for it.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we paid just under 100, and there's a point where it was over 400. So, I mean,
yeah. So we were like, well, I guess we're not going anywhere. But like,
it was that point that we're like, this is the make it or break it. Are we moving or are we staying?
Yeah, because we could have made
anything better.
Yeah, we could have made so much more profit.
Temporal
gain.
Yeah.
But I was like, but there's no other houses for sale in the ward right now. Like that. Yeah, like, that was the, you know, like.
Yeah.
Why would we?
There you go.
You know.
So
people are foregoing riches untold to be
right?
here. There you go.
We decided we'd rather be house poor but word rich, right?
That's awesome.
So we invested in the house and built the addition and slowly getting everything put together.
Yeah.
Slowly.
5 years later.
That's great. That's great. Got the project. You guys rock. You're awesome. So, what else do you want?
We're doing pavers, not rock.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Oh my gosh.
What else do you want people to know about you other than your joke skills?
If there was nothing else, that was the one thing.
That was the one thing. You got it in there.
We're kind of anime fans as well. If anyone else likes anime.
We we're good at being fans of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We spent a long time not necessarily being reclusive on purpose, but we're just living our tons of children, you know, struggling to get by life for so long that I think we felt like we missed the opportunity to meet new people. Because when you've been living in a ward for 7 years, you're not new, but also you can say 4 people's names. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and 2 of them moved. Like, you know? And we kind of came to a point that we're like, we need to reach out, because waiting for someone to realize that we are here, we might just be invisible forever. You know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you need help or whatever, we always tell people it's never too late. Like my sister, when she was going through hard times, she would like call me or text me at like 10:30 at night, and I'm putting babies down for their like mid evening night, you know, feeding or whatever, and I'm putting them down, and she's like, could I come to your place or could you come to my place? And I'm like, sure, give me 10 minutes, you know, because I would rather be there when you need me, so that if I need you, I know who to call or whatever, you know, rather than be sitting here alone and someone else is sitting there alone and needs something, you know.
Yeah.
So
reminds me of Hillary. I'm alone, you're alone. Let's just be
Hillary
together.
Parmenter, who many people in the ward probably know, but they used to live across the street from us, and we have our big picture window, and they have their big picture window. And she just called me one time, and she's like, I can see you through my window. You know, she's like, you're sitting there alone, and I'm sitting there alone. Please come to my house and just sit with me, like, you know. So I was like, okay, here I come. But yeah, I think we're not afraid of getting the call or whatever, you know. And it doesn't always, it doesn't have to be service. It can be whatever.
Just
it can be I just needed somebody to sit with me while I wash dishes, or what, I don't know, or wash my dishes or whatever. But yeah, we're
someone to talk to.
We're here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's a lot better at talking. I'm really good at listening.
There you go. It's
Am
symbiotic.
I not good at listening?
I was trying to find a skill for myself.
He'll wash the dishes while
I'll wash the dishes.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you for having us over tonight. It's awesome to get to know you more, and I know that people are going to watch this in the ward and go, I'm going to talk to them, and I want to be their friends.
We're up for the game. We're up for the movie. We're up for helping out.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. You guys rock.
Thank you.
Yeah.